Hi there, gorgeous, and a very happy Drugstore December to you. If you've not heard, every video coming out this entire month is drugstore themed. I'm doing 5 drugstore videos a week, so if you'd like to be notified of new ones, please subscribe, and thank you in advance if you do. Today I'm showing you a full face of favorite finds from 2019. I have a lot of favorite videos coming out this month, and I wanted to present them to you in different ways, this being one of them. And I thought a full face tutorial would be a great way to show you how you could wear these products and what they look like on application. So if you've been looking for some new affordable finds that are of quality, I have some really excellent options for you here today. I'll tell you what, when it comes to picking one eyeshadow palette, that was really hard, probably the hardest one to pick for this video, but I ultimately decided to go with the Wet n Wild My Glamour Squad palette because this is one that I was consistently using in 2019. I love the color arrangement, the quality of these quads. Is it a quad? It's not a quad. The quality of these 10-pan palettes are astounding, and I don't know why I was drawn to this particular color selection, but it really became a favorite. Taking this bottom transition shade first, I'm applying this directly into the crease. I'm using the Sigma E25 brush to do this. And I believe this is a dupe for the Anastasia Sultry palette, and I did do a comparison video earlier in 2019 between the two, but seriously, I like the Wet n Wild palette a little bit better. Anastasia is great, don't get me wrong, but I felt like in this instance, quality-wise, the Wet n Wild palette is much easier to work with by comparison. Taking the top transition shade from this palette, and this is the Sedona Lace EB09 brush, tap off the excess, and I'm going to use that to blend out the edges of that first crease color. One of my favorite shades from this palette was the pink one up here, and I was using it all the time, and if you really look at it, it's got a pretty big dent in it going there. So I'm not going to use it for this look as much as I'm gravitating towards it. I think I'm going to go with this one because it's not one that I've used that much. And we'll apply that to the inner half of the lid. And I really want to dramatize this look, so I'm going to add some black. But if you don't want to dramatize it, I would recommend sticking with this shade at the bottom of the palette for this next step. I am going to go all out, and we'll just go with yaha. And apply that to the outer third of the lid. And this is a rich shade. It's very pigmented, so a little bit goes a long way. I'm going to wipe my brush and continue blending. I'm going back with the tiniest amount on the Sigma E25 brush again, and I'm going to use that to blend between the outer V and the outer crease, so there is a seamless transition between the two. I also went back and added some more of that black eyeshadow onto the upper lash line there, so it gives the eyes a bit more definition. Moving on to the Waterline, one of my most favorite go-to drugstore eyeliners this past year was the Ardell Wanna Get Lucky gel liners. The one I'm using today is ink, which is obviously black, but every time I would do my wear tests, I always got asked, what were you wearing on your Waterline that lasted so long? This. It's amazing. I mean, it's, I love these gel liners. They are not only very pigmented, as you can see right here, but they stay put. They don't bleed, they don't run. They're fabulous. Just in case you couldn't see that pigment from where you were sitting, watch this. Look at that. And I'm not pressing hard at all. It's one of the richest pigmented pencils from the drugstore. Extremely soft. It's as if you took a lighter to it. You know, like they did in the 80s. That's the type of consistency that you get with these pencils. So I'm going to rave about them all day long. Hard to remove too, just so you know. When it comes to mascara, my go-to this past year was the Covergirl Exhibitionist. I fell in love with this stuff simply because it is just like the L'Oreal Lash Paradise in terms of the results that you get, but it's much easier to wash off of your lashes. Whereas the L'Oreal Lash Paradise can be a little troublesome to remove. If you've used it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But you can see the wand on this one. Love the wand. Lasting power is fantastic. It's an all-around love. And you'll see it much better on the bottom lashes when I go to apply it there, because I am going to be adding false lashes. This is just a step before that. And the lashes that I'm adding are from my lash line, Inky Minky Lashes, in the style Authentic. And I know you saw me wear these over and over and over and over and over and over and over this past year. They are my absolute favorites because they are so natural looking on the eyes. And they have a clear band. And they don't detract from an eyeshadow look. And my most favorite brow product this past year is one that I've had to restock a couple times, and I went to purchase it again recently, and my color is completely sold out. So I'll have to insert a clip here from a video this past year where I first talked about this brow product, and this is from Covergirl. Second runner-up would have to be one from Maybelline, and that is their Brow Ultra Slim Pencil. This was in the shade Soft Brown, and again, another great one that glides right on, blends in so easily, and this would be another one that I would repurchase again and again and again. And it's very similar to the Covergirl brow pencil that I just described to you in the same level of pigment, the hair-like strokes that it gives you, and its unique defining ability, and it blends really well also. Very similar looking in the results you would get with the Covergirl one too, but you can see why I love it so much there. And for those of us who have red hair, it's not red tinged, it's more brownish blonde, but it works really well with my coloring. For the face, my go-to foundation, Holy Grail status, I'm almost out of it actually, I hope I have enough to make this video with it, is the one from Soap & Glory. This is their Kick Butt foundation, and the shade that I'm using here is number 1. This was one I tested this past year all day long, and I want to say I got 16 hours worth of wear out of it. Without sliding around, without moving off of my face, it looked absolutely gorgeous at the end of the day. And so this has become one of my go-to favorites from the drugstore, and the coverage is beautiful. You don't need that much. I know it looks like I applied a lot here, but I really didn't. I only took 1 dollop of the foundation and spread it around my face. But, oh man, I had a lot of people who, after seeing that video, told me they tried out this foundation also, and it became Holy Grail status for them too. So I'm so glad that you found it helpful also. It's just been such a love of mine. Along those same lines, one of the concealers I discovered this past year that became something I was using over and over again was the e.l.f. 16-Hour Camo Concealer. And I did do a very long wear test with this one, and I was so impressed by it. I haven't even gone through 1 tube of it. As much as I've been using it, that surprises me. But the reason being is because it is such a pigmented concealer that much right there is enough to cover my entire under eye area, and it will not crease, it will not fall apart, and the coverage is simply gorgeous. See what I mean? You don't need much at all. This is one that I have worn in wear tests also and been asked what was under my eyes. 9 times out of 10 it was this concealer, and it's wonderful formula, great price point. Everything you've heard about it is true. Powder. In 2019, the one product I was using over and over again, I'm really surprised I haven't hit pan on it yet, is the Covergirl Clean Matte Powder, this one specifically. And if you look real closely, you can probably start to see a dent forming in it because I can see the ridges coming through from the pan at the bottom already. So definitely a love of mine, and I love it for how it sets the face and how it stays in place. Again, a little bit goes a long way with this, and that's probably why I haven't hit pan on it yet, although I am getting pretty close with it. Now that the whole face is completed, I'm going back to my under eye area, and I'm going to take some more of this deep brown eyeshadow on an angled brush and first line underneath the lash line with that shade, and then use that top transition shade with a Sigma E30 pencil brush and blend out that darker brown. And like I had mentioned, I'm going to go back with the Covergirl Exhibitionist mascara and apply this onto my lower lashes. And this is really where you start to see how great this mascara is. It tends to be the one place on my face where I test out mascaras the most, because that tells me everything I need to know. For my bronzer, I'm going with one from number 7. This is in the shade Golden Sand, and I know you can see the dent forming in that one. This is one that I loved ever since I discovered it. It was part of my blindfolded makeup shopping video, which I really enjoyed, and a lot of people were saying that I cheated because I had a friend direct me towards the brands and whatnot, but I honestly didn't look at it like that, because a lot of the products I picked out, I would have never purchased myself, ever, including this. This is not something that I would have picked up, but it's one that I really ended up loving so much. So I was really happy to have done that video, because it opened my eyes to a lot of stuff that I had already prejudged in my mind. I'm not going to try that. I think a lot of us do, and we don't even realize we're doing it, but you can see why I love it. It's not too orange. It's the perfect neutral hint, and it's one that I was using in place of blush even this past year. I just love how it looks on my skin tone. And for my blush, one of the products that became a go-to for me that was right here in my makeup drawer at all times was from Covergirl. This is their Instant Cheekbones blush in the shade Refined Rose, and I found myself taking my fan brush and dipping it into these two shades a lot, and a little bit of this goes a long way. You really don't need much because it's super pigmented, but it gives you a beautiful flush of color on the cheeks. And finally, for lips, Shop Miss A was a website that I purchased a lot of makeup from this past year to test out, and surprisingly I ended up loving a lot of the products that I purchased from them. Most notably, the lip combination in the video where I reviewed their products initially, and this became one that I was wearing over and over and over again. And what I did was I combined up the AOA Studio Wonder Lip Lock lipstick. This is in the shade Beige, which I really don't like this shade by itself. It's horrible. It's way too nude, which I honestly expected when I purchased it. So I did get this lip liner to go with it, also from AOA Studio. And this is in the shade Naked. $1, by the way, $1. And this is probably one of the creamiest, smoothest lip pencils I've ever used in the form of a pencil. So I was blown away first by the quality of that. And then I would apply the lipstick over this, which, oof, look out. See what I mean? Concealer lips. Yeah. Ugh. When you blend it in to the lip liner, it starts to look a lot better. But the ultimate lifesaver for this lipstick combination that I'm so glad that I purchased is the Diamond Lip Gloss. And the shade that I picked up is in Girl Power. Now when you layer this over the top, it takes this into a much more wearable look, and you'll see what I mean here in a second. There is a tiny amount of sparkle in the formula, and I don't know why it transforms this lipstick combination into such a beautiful look, but it does. It almost tones down that nude lipstick a lot more and brings a bit more pink into the combo, and this became one of my go-to combos that I was wearing over and over and over again this past year. I love it. And it was only $3. $3. I will have a video coming out very soon about the best makeup products from the drugstore in 2019. It will not include the products that I shared with you here today, at the risk of repeating myself twice and wanting to bring you fresh content, but I wanted to put together a tutorial specifically using some of my favorites so you could see them up close and how you can put a look together with using them. So if you're interested in any of the products that I shared with you here today, I'll have all of them listed and linked for you below. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch, and I want to wish you a beautifully blessed weekend ahead. I look forward to seeing you again next week.